What's up, Film Club? We're back. It's good to see ya. It's me again, Carson. I'm sure you already know. If you're watching these every week, then you should probably know that that's Groot, and I'm Carson, and this is Filmstruck Film Club, and we're talking about our next film that we watched this week. This week we watched Defending Your Life by Albert Brooks. If you aren't that familiar with Albert Brooks in person, perhaps you're more familiar with his voice. I will say those of us that are of a certain age may know him best as Marlin from Finding Nemo. But for generations of people before us, I guess a generation, he's the Academy Award supporting actor nominee for broadcast news. He was in Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. He's a writer and director in his own right, this being his fourth film. Another favorite is Lost in America, is a classic Albert Brooks film. Uh, he did a film called Mother, kind of resurrecting Debbie Reynolds' career. But Albert Brooks has been all over the place. Personal favorite performance of mine was him in Drive, the Ryan Gosling film. He's the badass villain in that. Very inspired casting. But Albert Brooks is such a genius and an unsung hero, especially in American cinema. I will say, he's definitely sick of this comparison. It's a tired comparison, but he's the West Coast Woody Allen. I said it. I said it. I know I'm not the first to say it, but I mean he is. It's hard not to draw the parallel. He's writing, directing, and starring in his own films that have this very particular brand of dry wit, and they're it's hard to shake the similarity. They're similar storytellers. Uh, I will say Albert Brooks is 100% less scandalous than Woody Allen, but I digress. Uh, Defending Your Life, 1991. I had never really heard of this film, um, but it's one of my girlfriend's favorite movies ever. And then just recently on the Criterion Collection, they put up an Albert Brooks collection, and they featured the film Defending Your Life. If you were to go on Criterion Channel right now, it's one of the featured titles, Defending Your Life. You'd see Albert Brooks looking like this. It's funny. Hey, I took my glasses off. Usually I would. Honestly, I'm not trying to be cool or anything. It's just bright. It's really just bright outside. I would look like this the whole time, and I don't want to do that. And Groot hates that. So that's why I don't. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I was so glad to watch this movie. And it has a great score on Rotten Tomatoes. It wasn't like nominated for any Oscars or anything. Uh, if you're like me and you've never seen this film and you pop it on, it's not gonna. You know what? I don't want to say that definitively, but I was gonna say it's not gonna change your life. But you know what? Who am I to say? Because this film has a very interesting perspective on the afterlife. For those of you who don't know, in the film Defending Your Life, we visit a sort of purgatory called Judgement City. It's the place we all go after we die, where we are given a sort of trial, as it were, to determine if we, as souls, I guess, are ready to move on to the next chapter. They don't call it heaven. They don't even really tell you what it is. They just kind of talk about, are you ready to move on? And if you aren't, then you go back to Earth and you start all over in a new body, living a new life. Our hero, Albert Brooks's character, has done this 20 times. He has not learned what he's meant to learn in his life. Of course, he doesn't know that until he gets into the process of this 4-day judgment that takes place. I love this tagline on the poster is so smart. It instantly makes you want to see the movie. It says, the first true story of what happens after you die, which is so fun. And I guess I was doing a little research, and I guess the plot of this movie was super under wraps. Albert Brooks, believe it or not, was like a pretty popular guy in the mid-late 80s, and his fourth feature film was highly anticipated. People wanted to see it, especially when they heard just kind of loosely what it was going to be about. So the story was very much under lock and key. It's got a great co-star. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's this young upstart, Meryl Streep. She's really going places. Um, I'm so dumb. You know who Meryl Streep is. But there's also a fun story about how his friendship with Carrie Fisher, who had just worked with Meryl on Postcards from the Edge, was very instrumental in how she got this role. And I'm quoting a Letterboxd review that I read, but she really has never been more charming or beautiful and effervescent than she is in this film. Um, you know, from a critical standpoint, I will say, as far as female characters go, she's kind of 1.5 dimensional. She's just kind of depicted as like this perfect human. Um, and it's frustrating for Albert Brooks's character a little bit because he's kind of thrown off by this whole process, and he's wondering if he's doing it right and saying what he's supposed to say, and he's just kind of policing how this trial of his is going, and his his defense attorney, I get it's the easiest way to describe it because he kind of keeps thinking that he's on trial, and I guess it's not really a trial, but Rip Torn, uh, who is, he's kind of doing this killer Orson Welles thing as this I forget his first, maybe Bob Diamond. This guy's amazing. It's one of the best supporting characters in the whole film. But yeah, Rip Torn, he really, I only really noticed it while I was watching this movie. And maybe it was because he didn't have the goatee that I'm used to seeing him have. And maybe I only think that because of Men in Black. But he has this Orson Welles kind of energy, and especially in this afterlife world. I don't know. It just I kept picturing Orson in this part. Um, and of course the prosecutor is Lee Grant, and she's amazing in that role. I really enjoyed. If you haven't seen the movie, forgive me. I'm going to spoil some things. But for those of us that have watched the movie, I really liked her character and how you could tell that she wasn't going to be easy on him, but that she wanted him to advance. Like she's almost, they don't say in the movie, but I kind of like to think that maybe this prosecutor and this defense attorney have dealt with this soul the past 19 times, and this has gone on many times back and forth, and she's quite frankly sick of seeing him. It's almost like two teachers dealing with a student that's been held back. It's like we both have two very different approaches to how to help this kid, but I don't know. It's a weird analogy, but I was thinking about it. Yeah, another thing I kind of found myself thinking watching this is the setup is great. Immediately, first 10 minutes, you're just so into this world. I love when we're on the tram at the very, very beginning and the old woman is petting his hair and talking about how it reminds him of his poodle. And that whole scene is so funny. A lot of this movie is very, very funny. Some of it's kind of dated, but some of it's very actually proving to be timeless. I'll be curious to see how another 20 years treats this film. But it does toe the line a little bit with some ethnic stereotypes, but then it almost earns it back. It's a very tricky film. Albert Brooks did for 1991. He was writing some pretty interesting stuff. There's even reference to the AIDS epidemic. There's stuff in there that he was very much talking to the people of the time that the film was made, but it's interesting how it has carried over. But what I was going to say was I found that this premise almost would have worked so much better as a TV show. Once we do kind of get into the last couple days of his judgment, and it's clear that he's in love with Meryl Streep, and that's potentially going to be what gets him to advance, is learning at the last minute, basically, in Judgment City. So once we kind of get to wrapping up the third act, I almost felt like, man, I would like to stay here a little longer. And then I was like, what a shame that we didn't get the TV show. But it is kind of, if you've ever seen the TV show The Good Place, it seemingly borrowed quite a bit tonally, and even just straight up factually from Defending Your Life. There's a lot of borrowed inspiration there. So in a way, kind of got what I was thinking. We got a TV show out of Defending Your Life. I would even say you could just go ahead and do it. And I would watch the prosecutors taking in new souls all the time and have it be like a law show. It doesn't matter. I'm not pitching no TV shows here. But you know what? I know that, for some of us, this may have been an unexpected pick. It was unexpected for me. I wasn't expecting to pick a romantic comedy by Albert Brooks, but it just looked so enticing sitting there on the Criterion Channel, and I'm really glad that we watched it. It's a movie that I don't think enough people have seen and has somehow been like a little bit forgotten. But anyone that I've talked to that saw it, when it came out, they all speak very highly of it, that they really enjoyed it and they haven't thought about it for a long time. So maybe this will be what gets people talking about defending your life. Um, yeah, if you're new to the Filmstruck Film Club, we pick all kinds of things. Sometimes it's going to be a silent film from Sweden. Sometimes it's going to be an Albert Brooks romantic comedy. Sometimes it's going to be one of the greatest movies of all time. But the best part about this club is that we watch all kinds of stuff. And I'm really glad that we kind of went for an out there concept. It was a warm and endearing romantic comedy. Made me think. I must say, if you watch this film and you don't start to kind of wonder about some episodes from your life and how they would be perceived in your trial, uh, it's, if nothing else, it's kind of an easy way to bring up the subject of death without it being morbid or dark or in any way off-putting. Uh, the world that's created in this movie really does kind of warmly welcome the idea of death and how one moves on afterwards. Um, so yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. I'm glad you watched this and stuck around. And if you didn't watch Defending Your Life yet, go check it out. I watched it with my mom and my girlfriend, and we had a blast. So if you're looking for a movie to watch with your mom or a movie to watch with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever, it's really a worthwhile thing to put on. Um, yeah, if you don't already, follow us on Instagram, follow us on that Facebook group. That's where I'm going to tell you all the weekly picks. If you want to check out the previous picks that we've done, I have a Letterbox list that you can go to. If you've never been on Letterbox, it's a great social media platform for cinephiles like you and I. You can rate and rank and review your own movies and all this stuff. But there is a list on there with all of our previous films in chronological order. You can check those out. Like and comment on these videos here on YouTube, and go ahead and subscribe if you don't do that already. But yeah, shoot me a line. Let me know what movies you've seen in the club that you enjoyed. What are some things that you'd like to see more of? I'm open to suggestions all the time. As we get closer to October, we're probably going to pick some scary ones. I don't even really like scary movies, so it's always nice to knock a couple out in October. Last October, we had a good time, watched some really cool stuff. So looking forward to that. But yeah, new pick coming tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your weekend. I love you. I hope you're enjoying yourselves in all this. And yeah, see you soon. Peace.